Most people don't fail at business because they're not smart enough. They fail because they start with the wrong question. They'll ask, what business should I start? What's the hottest industry? What's going to make me the most money? Here's the truth. That question is exactly what keeps people stuck in analysis paralysis, stuck in a 9-to-5 they've outgrown, or worse, stuck starting something that was never right for them in the first place. The real question isn't about the business, it's about the life you're trying to build. What if instead of chasing the perfect idea, you could plug into a proven system, one that already has a playbook, support, roadmap, designed to increase your odds of success from day one? That's where business franchising comes in, but not in the way most people think. This isn't just about fast food chains or million-dollar buy-ins. It's about finding a business that aligns with who you are, your skills, your lifestyle, your long-term goals. In today's episode, we're breaking down exactly how to do that. My guest, Rich Potter, he's helped countless people navigate over 4,000 franchise opportunities, cutting through the noise to find out what it actually works. We're talking about how to choose the right industry, what most people get wrong when evaluating franchises, how to avoid costly mistakes, and how to build a business that doesn't just make you money, but actually fits your life. If you've ever thought about starting a business, skipping your job, creating real financial freedom, but didn't know where to start, this episode is going to give you a completely different way to think about it. So let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Our theme for today is franchise ownership and working with a franchise consultant. I have Rich Potter here from Phoenix, Arizona. He helps people get into the franchising business. Our talk today is going to be about industries, selecting the right franchise, pitfalls, what to look for, how to get started, how to work with a franchise consultant. Rich, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Briefly describe what you do and we'll dive into the questions.
I provide a service as a franchise consultant to help people navigate the franchise world. There's over 4,000 franchises here in the US. A lot of different opportunities, different models. Honestly, not very many of them are good. There's a lot of garbage out there. I've spent the last few years learning a lot about the franchise industry and what to look for. I work with people every day to escape the 9-to-5 because they're burnt out, or to find another investment. Sometimes people want to start or buy that business, but keep their jobs. We've got plenty of semi-passive opportunities. I represent over 500 different franchises across 37 different industries, a ton of different opportunities. What I feel I do really well is help people dial down into their why, their ideal lifestyle that they want to create around business versus going after a brand. Figure out who you are, your skills, what you fit well into, and then we find brands that fit that versus going after the brand first. I coach people through the process, through funding, through legal review, all the way to be awarded their ideal franchise. I'm a business owner, owned and operated businesses for 12 years, fully self-employed for 9. And I own a franchise, I own a couple in the past. I've done startups. I'm in the trenches as a business owner. I'm a franchise owner myself. I have that unique perspective. I'm not just a consultant trying to help you buy a business. I'm doing it right alongside you.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
I love that approach. We have around 10 franchise consultants come on the show. You're the first one to talk about identifying the client makeup before selecting industry. Most of them just go into the industry. Why franchising in the first place? Entrepreneurship is so hard. The economy is, quite frankly, really hard to get ahead. Why should somebody get into franchising?
If you look at long-term success rates of business ownership, the last number I heard was 10 years in a startup business, 17% of those are still around. But in franchising, over 80% of those are still around. That's number one. The success rate of starting a franchise versus a startup is a lot higher. It comes with built-in support systems, mentorship. It's like working out at a gym. You can go in and you can figure out how to do it by doing different Google or YouTube searches. You can figure out the lifts, create a routine yourself. But if you want to really get fit, if you really want a great program, you need to hire a coach. Franchising is a lot like that. You're buying into a system. You have a person who's created a very successful business around that concept. They've built systems, playbooks, marketing plans, everything. And they've hired incredible support staff and business coaches to help you with the process. You're buying into that proven model with proven success. You can't start a franchise unless you've got a proven concept. You're buying into a system with all support levels. Then you've got other franchisees you can network with and can figure out best practices. If I wanted to start a roofing business here in Phoenix, I can't just call up all the local roofers and be like, hey, what's working for you? Some of them might talk to me, but most of them probably wouldn't. But if I buy into a roofing franchise, I can call my other fellow franchisees across the country, especially ones in similar markets, and figure out what's working for them. These mentorship groups where we share ideas. There's so much support. Everybody wants each other to win within a franchise system. You're not necessarily competing against your fellow franchisees. You're collaborating and making each other better. I've done startups. I've done franchises. There's so much support and longevity when it comes to long-term success within a franchise.
One of the concerns from the audience would be the cost to get into it. A lot of them have huge upfront costs. Talk about the barriers and how you help business owners, people wanting to get into franchise, address or solve that problem.
Every franchise is going to have their franchise fee, right? A typical franchise fee nowadays, anywhere from $40,000 to maybe $60,000 per territory. You buy multiple territories, you're going to be a discount off of that. There is that. Obviously, a big concern, but it's support that you're buying into. And that's why it's really important to do your due diligence up front, because you don't want to just buy a name to buy a name. That name probably isn't recognizable in your territory. That's why I come in. I go to conferences monthly. I do weekly webinars with these franchise boards. I know them very well. I know which ones have really good support. In the long run, buying into that support, buying into their systems, their brand, their marketing, that's going to help you grow way faster than you would otherwise. You can launch your own business, start from scratch. Absolutely. How many people have done it? I'm not saying you can't. For some people, doing it on your own is going to be the better way. For a lot of people, support and system is definitely worth the money. You can finance and fund. You're going to be paying it over time. An SBA loan, you're going to pay it over 10 years. You're going to get the value of it. You're not going to have to pay it all up front. So I think, yes, there's that big expense up front, but there's so much value you get from it when you buy into the right system that it's totally worth it. And it's worth the ongoing royalty. Average royalties that you're going to pay are between 5 and 8% typically. A lot of times you can get economies of scale with that. You get better costs on your products. Good systems have good rebate programs that you're not going to get access to otherwise. You buy into the right system, that royalty is going to be worth it in the long run. And you're going to be able to create a much bigger business with the support of a great franchise than you would on your own. That's what makes it worth it, in my opinion.
How does one go about selecting the industry to franchise in?
A great point. There's so many different industries. It's a personal thing. What I do initially is I have my clients fill out an entrepreneurial assessment, similar to a disc profile, but it's created specifically for the franchising industry. It helps me get to know that person on a deeper level, their skills, their personality traits. It helps me match their profile with high-performing franchisees in other systems. It'll help me understand this person is a societal, they're about making a difference in the world. That's their number one priority. I should show them concepts that do that. Maybe senior care, maybe healthcare that helps them make that difference. We talk about industries in our conversation to get an idea of where their interests lie. If you have zero interest in senior care, for example, I don't want to steer you there. A lot of people, when they think of franchising, they think exclusively food and beverage. There's so much more than food and beverage. Unless you're really passionate about it, I probably not even going to take you that direction. It's a lot of work. It's low margins. It's 80-hour weeks, very high expense. McDonald's is $2 million. The average location is going to make about $80,000, $90,000 profit. You could buy a $200,000 senior care home service franchise and make a lot more money than that, and then a McDonald's. We'll talk about industries. I have this form. It shows the 37 different industries, an explanation of what they are. And you can rate those for me on a scale from 1 to 10, your interest level in that industry. I use a combination of a few conversations that we have, assessment results, plus the category form where you rate those industries. I can use all of that information to create a profile of what you would match into. From there, it's doing territory checks, seeing what's available in your local market, walking through and talking about those concepts to see what interests you, what piques your interest.
Quick pause here. If this episode is making you rethink how your income is structured, that's intentional. Information doesn't create freedom, structure does. At the end of this episode, I'm going to show you how to diagnose whether you're building leverage or just scaling complexity. Let's get back into it. You mentioned the franchise fee and the royalties. What other costs should business owners or potential franchisees be aware of before signing the franchise agreement?
You're going to want to pay attention to a couple areas in the franchise disclosure document. The franchise disclosure document is a document that every franchise has to publish. It's usually 200 plus pages long. It's a legal document. I'm going to connect you with a lawyer to review it. It's not required, but it's recommended that you go through that legal review to understand what you're signing. It's typically a 10-year agreement that you're signing there. Pay attention to item 5 and item 7, where it goes over the costs associated. Item 7 is going to be a line-by-line breakdown of your initial investment. And it's going to give you a range. It'll have a line item for initial marketing, and it'll show maybe $5,000 to $10,000. A lot of it's going to be based on your individual territory, the population, how aggressive you want to get, but that's what they recommend. Most people fall somewhere in the middle versus the low end or the high end. It's going to have every line item, your business setup, marketing, franchise fee, any training related fees. A lot of times you're going to travel to corporate for a week, go through in-person training at the corporate locations. We'll have that built into it. On the bottom, the last line item is working capital, cash on hand to be able to get through the first 3 to 6 months of business until you start generating revenue and get to a point where you can cover your expenses. Oftentimes you want to plan further than that. You might want to finance a whole year's worth of salary, especially if you're leaving a job. All of that is built into item 7 of the FDD that you and I will look at together. You'll also look at depth with the franchisor, go through that when you do a unit economics call where you talk about projections and costs.
Another question from the audience, they don't want the hassle of the commercial building. Are there any franchises that are software or digital that have low costs but high margins?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's quite a few. I'm a pretty big fan of home-based franchises. I own one franchise with my brother called NTV 360 in the Salt Lake, Utah market. It's home-based. Indoor digital billboards. We install billboards into high traffic businesses and sell ad space on those TVs. And we also help people with website creation and Google business profiles. It's home-based, very low cost. All in, we were under $100,000 to start that business, including franchise fees, TVs, everything. There's a lot where it's not required to get a brick and mortar. You can work from home. Some models have 0 employees where it's just you. A lot of people like that. Other people want to build a system that is not reliant on themselves. They want to be able to train, hire, and step out from that business eventually. There's home-based models that do that as well. A lot of business professional type franchises where you're doing consulting, cost reduction, maybe running a payroll franchise or insurance adjusting, that can be home-based. Even senior care and home services where you are getting a van or a truck, you're hiring a tech. Those techs are taking those trucks and vans home. You don't necessarily need an industrial space to do a lot of those types of franchises. Low cost, high upside. One in the senior care specifically, you're consulting with seniors. You're a senior advisor, placement advisor. You're helping them find an assisted living facility to live in. 100% home-based. Margins are incredible, over 80% profit margins in that business. You're providing a much needed service to help seniors find an assisted living facility that matches their needs. A lot of great opportunities. A lot of those home-based businesses are under $100,000 all in. Low cost, high margins, great upside. You can ROI pretty quickly.
How is artificial intelligence impacting what you do in the franchising industry and the space?
Great question. You are seeing a lot of franchises try to build that into their software, a lot of quoting models, helping that. One franchise in particular does window treatments, and they built AI into their software. The software will listen to the conversation you're having with the client, and it'll make recommendations on the different window treatments that would fit them, color, everything. It's fascinating. A lot of what I'm doing and looking at with clients is trying to find businesses that fit them but are fairly AI resistant. I think it's going to be a long time before AI can take over as a plumber, HVAC, roofer, or even provide companionship nursing care for seniors. I try to find franchises that are going to be resistant to that for my clients, so they are building a reliable business that is not going to be wiped out in the next 5 years by AI. It's definitely something to keep in mind as you're launching a business.
At what point should somebody be considering a franchise? It's easy to invest in stocks, invest in real estate, have their own business. Why would one go into franchising?
Great question. There's a lot of different reasons. Personally, I wanted the freedom of running my own thing and being my own boss. I've been self-employed now for 9 years. I tell people I'm unemployable now. I couldn't get another job and work for someone ever again. I love the freedom I have. For a lot of people, that's what it is. I had a great sales job. I was making really good money. At the end of the day, I was making a lot more money for other people than I was for myself. I built my account base from nothing to $14 million a year. I was the number one salesperson in the region for several years. I felt like I hit the ceiling in that role. I couldn't earn anymore. As a business owner, it's uncapped. That's what I love about business versus stocks, even real estate. You have control of the asset. You control that yourself. You control the direction of the business. Your input directly affects the results of your business. With a stock, you have no impact at all. All you're doing is dumping your money in it. And, it's going to work out over time, usually 8 to 10%. But businesses, that multiplier is typically quite better. I personally like business ownership over real estate. It's a personal thing. Why do one or the other? Do both. Real estate's fairly passive. You can do both. Franchises in real estate help you flip homes, wholesale homes, or do home inspections, property management. So you can run your real estate business on one end and buy a property management franchise and manage your own properties. But there's synergies there where you can do both. It's a personal thing. I love being a business owner. The multiplier is better in business than it is in stocks and real estate.
What are the characteristics of a stock real estate investor versus a franchise? What are the similarities personality-wise versus differences?
That's a good question. One thing that comes to mind, veterans make really good franchisees. 1 in 7 franchises are owned by veterans. Veterans have incredible leadership skills. They know how to follow a system that translates well into the franchise space. Being a franchise owner, being a business owner in general, takes a lot of discipline. Being a business owner isn't always the easiest thing in the world. There comes with a lot of stress. At the end of the day, if you can follow a system, if you have grit and determination, you're going to make a good business owner. You're going to make a good franchise owner. I think some of the similarities would be patience. As a stock investor, you're putting your money in and you have to be patient with it. Investing, sitting and holding, so that's the way to make good money long-term. I say with business ownership, you have to be patient and trust the system. Trust what you're being taught as a franchise owner. Trust that playbook, trust that system. You're going to be successful with that.
How can people connect with you and learn more?
You can find me, Rich Potter, on LinkedIn. I belong to a brokerage called the Quantum Franchise Group. I'm a senior agent there. My email address is rich@quantumfranchisegroup.com. Franchiseheroes.co is the website.
Thanks so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a good time.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
On December 12th, Disney Plus invites you to go behind the scenes with Taylor Swift in an exclusive 6-episode docuseries.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect.
The only thing left is to close the book.
The end of an era. And don't miss Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, featuring for the first time the Tortured Poets Department. Streaming December 12th, only on Disney Plus.
Let's zoom out. If you're a physician, founder, or high-income professional, and you feel like you're working harder every year, but not structurally freer, you're not alone. The mistake isn't effort, it's architecture. This show exists to help you convert expertise into scalable leverage, faster and with fewer expensive missteps. Here's the diagnostic I mentioned before. If your income requires your constant presence, if your capital isn't compounding outside your profession, if your highest value talent is doing low value tasks, you don't have a growth problem, you have a leverage design problem. And if you want to fix it with clarity instead of guesswork, I offer a limited number of one-on-one leverage strategy sessions each month. We audit your income model, capital deployment, authority positioning, and structural bottlenecks, and design your highest return move. If you're serious about compressing years into months, the link to apply is below.